Welcome back to the evolution of Formula One, the ultimate pit stop for everything Formula One. Today's video is Mike Hawthorn's driver profile. John Michael Hawthorn, a name synonymous with talent, personality, and tragedy. As the first British driver to win the Formula One World Championship, his legacy remains etched in the annals of motorsport history. But behind the triumphs, there was a story of unwarranted media scrutiny, personal struggles, and a heart-wrenching loss that would forever change the world of Formula One. Hawthorn was born on April 10th, 1929, in Mexborough, Yorkshire. His father Leslie owned a garage in Farnham, Surrey, near the Brooklands circuit. It's there that Mike was influenced by the motorcycles and cars that were prepared there for racing. His father raced motorcycles prior to World War II, and by the time Mike was 9 years old, he had already decided he wanted to become a racer. His father encouraged his interest in motorsport, however, not before completing his education, and after college, Mike started an apprenticeship with a vehicle manufacturer. When he did get involved in motorsport, his father provided him with motorcycles and cars for local competitions. When he wasn't racing, he was known for his interest in girls and pints in pubs around Farnham, but it didn't stop him making his mark in 1950, driving his 1934 Riley Ulster Imp at the Brighton Speed Trials. His victory in the 1100cc sports car class marked the beginning of a career that would take him to the top of the motorsport world. In 1951, Hawthorn entered the British racing scene full force, winning the Motorsport Brooklands Memorial Trophy. In 1952, he raced against drivers like Juan Manuel Fangio and Froilan Gonzalez in a Formula 2 Cooper Bristol provided for him by a family friend. He won the F2 race from pole position and then won the Formula Libre race. Inspired by his above performances, Mike and his father joined forces and decided to enter their Cooper Bristol in the remaining races of the 1952 F1 season. Remember, the FIA changed the rules back to F2 rules in 1952 and 1953. This season was dominated by Albert Ascari. However, Hawthorn had impressive results with 2 fourth-place finishes and an impressive third in the British Grand Prix. His performances in 1952 caught the eye of Enzo Ferrari, and he quickly hired him for Ferrari in 1953. Ascari was dominant again in 1953, but Hawthorn did manage to claim victory at the French Grand Prix at Reims. It was an impressive victory given the fact he pipped Fangio at the finish line. That win marked a turning point in Hawthorn's career, signalling to the world that he was a driver to be reckoned with. His rise to fame in 1953 led to unwarranted scrutiny from the British tabloids, and then he was accused of evading compulsory military service. In his defence, he didn't evade it, he was rejected for service due to a chronic kidney ailment. Unfortunately for Hawthorn, people tend to believe everything they read in the newspapers and tabloids will always lie to sell a story. This story, along with rumours of his flamboyant partying nature, meant his reputation suffered in the eyes of the public. His bad luck continued in early 1954. He had a bad crash in a non-championship race in Sicily, and his legs and arms were badly burned. Further to this, his father Leslie was killed in a road accident. He showed tremendous resilience coming back and claiming victory in the Spanish Grand Prix in the last race of the season. He joined Vanwall in 1955, but the less said about that in terms of his racing career, the better. He then joined BRM in 1956, but things didn't get any better. His only points over the 2 seasons came in the Argentina Grand Prix in 1956. These points came in a third-place finish where he drove for Maserati. His only racing victory came when he raced in the ill-fated 1955 Le Mans 24-hour sports car race in a Jaguar. As racing fans, we all know the tragedy of that race when a Mercedes crashed into the crowd, killing over 80 people. Accusations were aimed at Hawthorn for triggering the accident, although he was later exonerated. In 1957, Hawthorn made a bold move, joining the Ferrari factory team. Fangio dominated again this season, but Hawthorn did finish a respectable 4th in the driver standings. Alongside fellow Englishman Peter Collins, the two formed a unique bond within the Ferrari camp, though their rivalry with teammate Luigi Musso would soon escalate, leading to a fierce competition that pushed all 3 drivers to the limit. The 1958 season was marked by intense competition between Ferrari teammates. Hawthorn's rivalry with Musso was fueled by the desire for victory and financial reward, with both drivers fiercely vying for the 1958 French Grand Prix win. Tragically, it was in this race that Luigi Musso was killed while holding second place. Hawthorn, shaken by the loss, would go on to win the race, but the victory was bittersweet. In what would become one of the most dramatic seasons in Formula One history, Hawthorn's win at Ryan's proved to be pivotal. But his success wasn't solely defined by victories. In a season where Stirling Moss dominated with 4 wins, Hawthorn's consistency and strategic mind carried him to the 1958 World Championship by a single point over Moss. With only 1 victory to his name that year, Hawthorn's title was a result of his ability to finish strong and capitalise on Moss's misfortunes. Despite the personal triumph of being crowned champion, the toll of the season was immense. Following the death of his other teammate and close friend, Peter Collins, in the final race in Germany, Hawthorn was left deeply affected. At the peak of his career, Hawthorn made the decision to retire from Formula One, leaving the sport behind at the age of 29. The losses he endured, coupled with his own declining health, had taken a heavy emotional toll. Despite being the world champion, Hawthorn's heart wasn't in the sport anymore. In a cruel twist of fate, Mike Hawthorn's life was tragically cut short just months after his retirement. On January 22, 1959, while driving his own Jaguar, Hawthorn was involved in a fatal road accident on the A3 bypass near Guildford. The exact cause of the incident remains unclear, but Hawthorn's sudden death at just 29 stunned the motorsport world. It was a chilling year for Ferrari. All 3 of their team drivers died within a couple of months of each other. Known as the Farnham Flyer, at 6'2", he was a commanding figure who cramped into the tiny cockpits, elbows flailing in the wind and his head thrust forward. In his debut race in a single-seater race car, Hawthorn wore a bow tie which became his trademark. He was known within the motorsport world for being boisterous and always in a good mood with a broad grin. He was like a 1950s version of Daniel Ricciardo. Mike Hawthorn's legacy lives on through tributes like the Hawthorn Memorial Trophy, awarded annually to the most successful British or Commonwealth F1 driver. In his hometown of Farnham, Mike Hawthorn Drive serves as a reminder of the lasting impact he left on the motorsport world. Mike Hawthorn may have been a reluctant champion, a man whose life was cut tragically short, but his place in history is secure. As the first British Formula One world champion and a true pioneer for the sport, Hawthorn's name will always be remembered as a symbol of determination, skill, and the fragile nature of life. Here's a look at Hawthorn's racing career. Hawthorn's race statistics. Thank you for joining us in remembering the life and legacy of Mike Hawthorn. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of Formula One's most poignant stories, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more history from the world of Formula One. Until next time, keep your engines roaring.